So in this class, we are going to discuss about converting our test into a TestNG format. Right now, we just using a main method where we are keeping all our data, all our script, and we are executing it till now. And this class, we are going to convert and tear our code into TestNG format. So then, what is a TestNG? TestNG is a unit testing framework. Okay. So before TestNG, so there is a famous tool called JUnit. Is also a unit testing framework. So TestNG is inspired from the JUnit and started, and it started very much famous in the current days, and it has more abilities and more features than JUnit. Okay, so TestNG is inspired from JUnit and it has more features and more abilities than JUnit, and that's the reason nowadays people are started using TestNG instead of JUnit. Okay, so this is in the market now and everybody is expecting that, do you know TestNG, do you know TestNG? Okay, so this is in the market and we should be able to understand and we should be able to convert our code into TestNG format. So in the TestNG, if you want to convert the TestNG, so you should be able to have a TestNG jar. TestNG jar. If you can see here, there will be a TestNG jar. You can,
Yeah, I found one. Yeah.
yeah. So who is giving this TestNG jar? I'm not downloaded anything. I'm not, added this one all of a sudden. Okay. So how I got this TestNG 6.8.5 .jar. Okay. So TestNG jar comes along with the Selenium libraries. Okay. So let's see, is it true or not? Okay. So these are the Selenium jars which we have included, and in the libs you can see a TestNG jar. Okay, in fact, not only TestNG, you can also see a JUnit jar also. JUnit, right? JUnit one. Okay, but we are converting our test code into TestNG. We just need TestNG jar. Okay, so let's say now let's convert this test into this code into TestNG format. Okay, so in the TestNG format, you have to write some test methods. Public void test. So what is this loan? Let's take LAC 01 test. Okay, and keep this code, whatever the code you want, you can keep this in test code in the test method. This is one test method. Okay, so it doesn't know about driver, so let's initialize this driver and okay, let's keep it like this. We'll work on this one later. Now let's write another test method, public void test LAC 02, and keep our, and we can keep our another test code. Okay, now let's resolve the issues. This is one issue we are having. Okay, let's remove this one. Okay, so the reason which you are unable to execute this, the previous code, is you are out of the main method. Okay, the code is there in this braces and this is out of the main method. That's the reason it is not executed. Okay, that's okay, we no need to worry about that. So let's move this, let's close this main method. We don't require main method in the TestNG. We no more require main method in the TestNG. And let's, this is your code, let's work on this code. Let's define the web driver as a instance variable, and thread.sleep we have to add a throws declaration. Okay. And this driver 2 also we have to, one driver is enough. Okay, we'll be using the same driver which we have defined in the instance variable. Now we have to initialize this variable. Okay, take a method called, you can give any name, I'm just giving setup, copy this entire code. So it's perfect. Okay, so this particular driver is initialized in the setup, and we are putting a timeout, we are maximizing the window, we are opening a URL, and in the test we are executing one test 2, and in the LAC02 we are executing another test. Okay, and for the TestNG to say this is a test method, for the TestNG to say it is a test method that you have to execute, we have to give some information to the TestNG saying it is a test method. We have to import, we have to use some annotations. Okay, so when you are making a test annotation, there are two things. One is org TestNG annotation and org JUnit. Make sure you selected the org TestNG annotation because we are working with TestNG. And these annotations are nothing but these are some intimation to the TestNG that this is a test method. Okay, which you have to execute it. Again, test, select from the org TestNG annotation. Okay, and before execute these things, I need a driver to be initialized because I'm passing the driver in the unit elements. Okay, I need a driver to be initialized, and this driver is initializing here. Okay, so TestNG does not execute any method simply until unless it doesn't found a annotation. Okay, here we have to give an annotation called at before method. Select from the TestNG annotations. Okay, so at before method ensures that this particular method, okay, the method which is tagged as at before method will be executed before every test method. Okay, that means this particular setup method will be executed before test LAC01 and test LAC02, right? So in that case you don't need to worry about that every time your driver is initialized properly. Okay, and also take a method called public void tear down. Okay, this name can be anything. Okay, just giving a tear down, which is a naming convention, and we have to take after method. What I'm doing, I'm going to close the driver dot close. Just move this down. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's keep it like this. That's okay. What I'm going to do is in the setup, I'm initializing the driver and opening the URL, and in the tear down, I'm closing the driver. Okay, setup and at before method, that could be a setup or whatever it is, and after method. Okay, will be executed before and after every method. Test 1 and our test 2. Okay, here at before method is setup, right? Setup method and tear down will be executed before and after the method. Okay, so please understand this. So if there are 100 methods are there, how many times this setup is going to be executed?
Every time, all the 100 times.
100 times. And how many times this tear down is executed?
It's the same 100 times.
100 times. And
But
yeah, when the setup will be executed?
before the test case runs.
When this tear down will be executed?
After the test case is done, and when
So
we
how
need,
do you know that the tear down will be executed after the test method? How do you say that tear down will be executed after the test method?
because after that it will close the web page, right? So
Yeah, correct. I mean, the question is, how do we know that this tear down will be executed after the test method? So let's forget about that. How TestNG knows this tear down has to be executed after the test method?
because
How
we gave
TestNG?
it
Yeah,
annotation
yes,
after.
yes. That's what I'm expecting. That's correct. Okay, we gave the annotation after method is nothing but we are telling the TestNG that execute this after method, that is tear down after executing the every test method.
Okay.
Okay, so
But Sudhir, one question.
yeah, please go ahead.
Like suppose we have 10 test cases,
Okay.
we'll give before method once, and we in between we write all the test cases, and at last we'll write that once after method. That's it, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
But what we have to keep in the setup and what we have to keep in the tear down, we have to ensure. In the test method, we are going to keep only the test related things, okay? And test steps we are going to keep, and what we are going to keep in the setup and what we are going to tear down, we have to make sure.
Like setup mostly will be that one, right? We are assigning a driver to a Firefox driver,
Exactly,
and the
exactly.
type and maximize and the get URL. Mostly it will be the same, right?
So what happens if there are 100 test methods are there? Every time you are closing the browser, reopening the browser.
Can you ask again?
So if you are having 100 test methods, okay, so what is your solution that, so in this particular thing, I'm going to open the browser and closing the browser every test method, agree? I'm opening the browser and closing the browser for every test method, agree?
At last we'll close the browser, right? In between we'll write the test cases, and
Yeah,
last we'll close the browser, right?
yeah, exactly. So what was the expectation from this code for you now? What happens? What was the flow? So here in the setup, we are opening the browser, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the test method, we are performing the test steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what we are doing?
And we are resetting the values in the second case.
Okay, okay. Then?
And we are closing the browser.
And then? And then?
It will go to the second. No, we already done the 2 test cases.
No, one test case only we done. This is done. Test one is done. Now what about test two? How it will be executed?
No, the second one we wrote here, that's not the test 2.
This one, no?
Yeah, the second values.
Yeah.
LAC page 2. Like test LAC 2. This is the second case, right?
Second test method.
Test method, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Test method, right?
Yeah.
So if we have the third one also, like if we want to reset again, we can write the third test method also, right? After this.
Like this, n number of test methods you can write. There is no restriction.
Okay, then after writing everything, the browser will close.
No, that's the reason it is very important to understand what is happening here. Okay, so the first one setup will be executed. Agree? The setup and tear down will be executed for every test method, and the setup will be executed before a test method, and tear down will be executed after the test method. Okay, and the setup and tear down will be executed for each and every test method which you wrote. So in this case, first setup will be executed, okay, and test alias is 01 will be executed, and tear down will be executed. Okay, next test alias before executing the test alias is 02, that is what before method. Before executing the test alias is 02, it will be executed the setup, and then once test alias is 02 is executed completely, it will execute the tear down. So now you got the thing.
Yeah, I understood. Yeah.
Now if there is one more method, one more test method is there, what happens?
Any number of test cases we write, but it will start with setup and end with tear down for every test method, right?
Exactly, absolutely. Okay, yeah. So there is no confusion here, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah, no confusion.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So let's convert the, and in the setup, usually it will be like this only. Okay, let's convert the next test case. Okay, this test case. So can you suggest me how we can go ahead? That's a public void test. Let's say it's a mortgage calculator underscore 0. You can give any name. Okay, doesn't matter what name you are giving. Okay, as long as you define the test annotation properly and keep this test code into the annotation. Sorry, here. No more main method we require in the test engine. You can give any method. Okay, any a name for the method could be anything as long as you define the proper annotations.
So then why are we defining driver separately like WebDriver?
Okay, the reason is if I define a WebDriver, it becomes local method, right? Local variable. Am I right? Okay, and local variable cannot be accessed here in the another method, right? Okay,
Okay.
that's the reason we define an instance variable. We define on top. Okay, so that the entire class can be used it. And before we are using in the setup, we are initializing it.
Okay.
And in the tier down, we are going to. It's not about tier down. It's about in the after method we are going to. So it's about driver dot. What if I give quit instead of close?
It will close all the browsers
Okay,
in
so it
terms of.
doesn't matter. Right now, it doesn't matter. We only opening one browser, right? You can give close or quit. Anything is okay. Only difference is quit will be useful when more number of browsers are open. More than one browser is open. Okay. Now it's the time to execute. Yes. Okay. So one thing we need to I need to discuss with you that when I do right click run as, so now it is showing TestNG test. Am I right? So TestNG test is showing to you, right? But when you do at your system, it will not show to you because it's a plugin. TestNG test is a TestNG is a plugin to the Eclipse, which we have to install it. You can see here. This is not comes with the Eclipse by default, which you have to install it in your system, so that then only you can able to execute any TestNG test case TestNG test file from the Eclipse. Okay, so how to install the TestNG into the Eclipse? I have I'll be providing the details to you. Please go through them and let me have if you have any issues. It's a very simple one. I'll be giving you a complete video to you and just go through it, and if you have any questions, yes, let me know. We'll work on it. It's not only TestNG plugin. So for any plugin to install into the Eclipse, if you want to install any Eclipse plugin, the same steps has to be followed. Okay, so let's run this test. Let's take ngc test and run as TestNG test. Let's see how it works. take some time to initialize the browser. So I have executed only MGC test, and you can see the result here. You can see the result here. One class count, one method count, and the time taken to execute it. Okay, so it's only one test method from one class I have executed. Okay, if I want to execute these two tests together, so it will not be allowed. Even if I do, it doesn't work properly. Okay, if you want to execute multiple tests together, you need a test suite. You need a test suite. Configuring the test suite in TestNG is in XML format. Okay, so we are going to discuss about test suite.